Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chela Time, the podcast where friends discuss their thoughts with a chela in hand. My name is Pedro.
My name is Cesar.
I'm Diego.
Hey guys, I'm Joel.
And what are we all drinking tonight, boys?
I'm just having a beer. I think I had it a bit too much to drink last night, so I'm just gonna keep it simple.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I am trying a new beer today. I bought a Budweiser. It's
You never had
good.
Budweiser before.
No, this is my first time.
How do you think about it? What do you think
Nice.
about it?
I think besides Corona, it's my favorite.
What the fuck? Oh, damn. All right.
I've never
Yeah.
tried the Budweiser. I've always the label has been like so iconic. Uh, I always thought it looked so dope, but I never tried it.
That's why I
It,
got it.
it looks
The label.
cool. When I first started drinking, I was drinking Bud Lights, and then I tried Budweiser, and it was such a stronger taste, like a stronger, bitter taste, I feel. And I never touched it ever since.
Bud Light for me tasted like someone made a real beer and then was like, you know what? I need to make my production cheaper and added water to it.
And that's what I love about it. I love that it's so chuggable. It's extremely chuggable. That's what I love about it.
Post Malone he swears by it. Like every interview I see, it's always him with the Bud Light.
Isn't he sponsored by Bud Light?
I don't know. At this point, I
he
hope he is.
sponsored their seltzer.
Word up.
What are you drinking tonight, Peter?
I'm drinking a Jack and Coke. Jack Honey with Coca-Cola.
Nice.
Tastes
What
like
are you
coffee.
drinking? Coffee.
Yeah, it tastes like coffee to me at least. It's a very sweet thing because I think regular
I was
Jack with
wondering.
Coke is kind of gnarly. It's kind of intense. So Jack Honey and Coke is always the way to go for me.
Speaking of sweet things, I'm also chewing gum at the same time. I'm chewing Hubba Gubba, the pink little roll.
Hubba Bubba,
Hubba
Hubba
Bubba. There you
Bubba.
go. It's chocolate, dog.
Hubba Gubba
Yeah.
Gubba Gubba Bub Shrimp.
I don't know. I had some later on in my room. I remember when in school, if you had that thing, bro, you were the shit. Even though that gum did not hold its flavor for very long.
Oh,
I
not
would
at all,
just
dude.
bite chunks out of it as opposed to
I,
rolling it up.
I
Yeah,
hate
yeah.
how someone would pull it out and you'd be like, "Oh, can I have some?" Or you give it to someone like, "Oh, can I have some?" You give it to them, and like you're expecting them to take a certain length, and they take like just to be like a prick, they take like extremely long length.
Yeah, it'd be like half the roll.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck?
Nah, I would always during high school and even Atkinson when middle school, I would always carry around a pack of 5 gum. Ever since I've always been working with 5 gum, and every time I would whip it out, because I would whip it out like every period, and always a person right next to me like, "Hey, can I get one? Can I get one?" And it got to the point where I had to just tell people, "No, I don't have any gum." Period. Even though I had like a whole ass pack of gum.
I
Yeah, that's
remember
how
as a
you gotta
little
do it.
kid, I would every time we went to Circle K for gas, my dad would always turn around and be like, "Hey, you guys want anything?" And the first thing I would ask for is that. Um, and I remember like my dad would always take us to Circle K to get gas. Like that was just like, you want to go to Walmart, you want to go get gas. And as a little kid, I'm like, hell yeah. But I remember getting it. It'd be like 8 p.m. And then we get in the car, we start driving away, and I couldn't really see, and I would always turn on the dome light. Like I would always stand up and like turn on the backseat dome light as he was driving, and he'd immediately smack my hand or smack the dome light and turn it off. He's like, "No, you can't do that. It's illegal." And now, as a grown up, I know it's bullshit. So I don't know, and I genuinely believe that my dad believed that it was legal. So I don't know, what happened, what experience he had that he got pulled over. And they're like, "Yeah, bro, we pulled you over because of the dome light."
I'm sure he didn't want his kid to just fuck around with the car, and then it ends up him getting pulled over at night, maybe.
Yeah, I really hope it is. But that, as a kid, I just knew like you don't fuck with the dome light.
No,
I feel like
Yeah.
that's got to be what it is for most people.
I
exactly.
mean, I was always told that it was distracting for the driver behind us, and that because of that they could end up crashing us. So I was always in fear to like never turn it on because that meant we would get in a car crash.
My dad told me an even stupider lie. You know how like you can turn your blinkers on and it'll point to the arrow on the dashboard. It'll point the arrow to the direction that you have the blinker to, right?
All right.
When I would always sit next to my dad while he was driving, and I would look at the dashboard and I would see these arrows pointing to the direction where he was going, and I was like, "Yo, that's kind of cool." Like, and I'd ask him like, "Are the arrows telling you where to go?" He's like, "Yeah, they tell me they know exactly where we want to go, and they tell me where to go." I'm like,
That's
"Cool."
pretty funny. Yeah.
and
That's
GTA Waypoint.
hilarious.
I would sit in the car like while he was like he would let me like just sit in the car with the car turned on, and I would pretend that I'm driving, and I would be like, "Car, Signal K," and for some reason the arrows wouldn't turn on, so I was like, "Dad, the car's broke. We need to get a new car, dude. It ain't happening here." He's like, "Nah, it's this blinker right here." I was like, "Oh, okay, for real."
My
It's
guy
like
tried
you
to tell me
lied
that
to me.
Tesla.
I thought we had a GPS in the car. Later, I learned on that that's just a GPS, but no, it was he was just messing with the blinkers and messing with me.
Mm.
I thought as a little kid, as of owning a car, part of owning a car was fixing it every weekend. Like every Saturday and Sunday, my dad's little minivan would always be on jack stands, and he'd always be working on it. So I thought that that's what I had in my future. I'd be like, wow, I can't wait to get my house and work on my car every weekend.
Well,
Jesus
I
Christ,
Caesar, I'm not gonna lie. You are doing maintenance on everything you possibly could get your hands on at your
Yeah,
house.
that is true.
Yeah,
I'm the
and
only one
it
in my
ended
house
up
that takes
becoming a
care of
feature.
yeah taking stuff apart. But
Yeah, if it's not your
oh my
Evo,
god,
it's your Sequoia or something else.
yeah. So yeah, I just realized that was my childhood.
Do you think that's where
It's
do you
funny.
think that's where you got your mentality from? Seeing your dad work on the car, so now you work on your cars every weekend.
I got my mentality of my dad. There was nothing that my dad couldn't fix. So I think I adopted that mentality. Like everything that would break, I'd be like, let's take it apart and try to fix it. So I think that's where I got my mentality from and where I got to where I'm at.
I don't know.
That's good because at least you're doing that now.
It taught you a good lesson, to be fair. And even then, like I think it's pretty reasonable. I wouldn't say every week, but every 2 weeks maybe. Checking the cars, see what's good under there, and who knows what your dad was doing under there. Maybe he was pimping it out, putting a turbo in there. You never know, but
Oh no, we just had a shit van. Like this thing would leak water, this thing would leak oil, and now that I'm older, now I know what he was doing. He was constantly putting water in it so it wouldn't overheat, and he'd pretty much be replacing the fluids that he lost during that week of use.
Jesus,
So
dude.
I was just like, wow, man, my dad like always keeps the van maintained. My dad was like, nah, bro, I'm like I'm skating on thin ice right now, my guy.
Did he at least tell you that he was like working on the fluids, or was he just like, nah, I'm pimping it out?
No, I was a typical kid that like, come on, come help me, and he would always yell at me for not pointing the flashlight correctly. And now I understand that frustration
Oh,
because like as a guy who works on cars, it's so frustrating when you have you have light, but it's not in the correct area. So I understand the frustration. At first, I'd be like, bro, it's just light, chill out. But
I feel like I kind of the same thing. I kind of did the same thing to my dad because he would do a lot of like yard work in the back, and he would always like wake me up at like 7 when I stayed up, till like 5 anyway. And he would wake me up at like around 7. He'd be like, "Yo, help me fucking build the wall back there." And
What was your dad, Donald Trump?
yeah, Daddy
he's
Trump.
like, I want you to build a wall for me, and you're gonna pay for it.
No, he would like put cinder blocks to border us from the alleyway, and during that process, he would get so mad because he had about two other people, I think two of my cousins and two of my tios, and he would have us all bring the cinder blocks to where they needed to be. However, my monkey ass, and like we talked like in the last podcast, I'm very soft. I have no muscle. So I'm literally struggling to carry one cinder block, and he's like, "Dude, what are you doing? You're supposed to carry like three." And I'm like, "Dad, I am like three. What the fuck? Like, how do you expect me to bring these cinder blocks over?" And then, and it was all good. Like he bought me Burger King after for doing, putting in a good shift. But like after which, I was beat, dude. Like I was mangled. Like I put in a good
I,
work up there.
I'd like to imagine that the entire time you only ever moved that one cinder block.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, I only ever moved like 3 or 4, dude. Like I did not help at all. But I was there for emotional support.
It's like you
Yeah,
got fat.
my dad one time was trying to replace the fan in the living room, and he needed me to hold it up for like 5 seconds. And as soon as I put it up in my hands, I was like, "It's too heavy." And he was so pissed. He's like, "You know what? Just leave. I'll do it one-handed."
Like
Yeah,
Go ahead, Joe.
Sometimes like when you ask people to like help you out, but it's just better to do it yourself because either they don't hold the flashlight right or something. It's like that just frustrates you more and then makes the job like more frustrating than it should be. So it's just
It
better
goes
to
by
like,
slow.
you know what, no, like get out of here.
the fuck out of here.
To be fair, I'm sure they wanted to teach us, good, ethics, teach us good morals in terms of, doing some yard work, get your hands dirty. But they were expecting. I'm assuming. I don't know how old you were, Diego, but again, I was like 4 or 5. Like, there's no way I can move cinder blocks like a man. You know what I mean? So I don't
Yeah, I
know
mean, I
if they were
must have
just
been like
expecting too
10.
much. Exactly. We
y'all,
we don't have
y'all
muscle mass.
remember shit from when y'all were like 4 or 3? I'm over here like I don't even know what the fuck memories I had when I was 12.
Oh yeah, dude. I have tons of memories. I started remembering stuff. I remember like before kindergarten, my mom was helping me spell my name out with alphabet soup, and I'm like,
Nice.
"Oh, this is how I spell my name." She's like, "No, that's not how you spell your name, dumbass."
It kept floating away like with actual soup or just the
The,
noodles,
the noodles,
the
like
dry
the raw
noodles.
noodles, that were still hard. And then once I spelt my name, I was able to put the rest of the noodles in, and then I can have soup.
Yeah,
It's like if you don't get
Cheating.
this done, you can eat.
he starves.
Starve.
Mom, please, I'm hungry.
What's your
Spell
name?
your
Oh
name.
Spell
my
your name.
gosh.
Say it. Oh, spell it. I mean.
No, child abuse is no joke. All right.
Child abuse is no joke at all.
That
Neither is
makes me
You know,
think.
self-starvation.
That makes me think of when I was like, I must have been in either kindergarten or first grade, and I was playing Lego Star Wars on the GameCube,
Hell
and
yeah.
I couldn't solve like a simple math problem, and my dad was so pissed. I think I did like, for example, I was doing 7 plus 3, and I put 11, and my dad was checking it because I said I was done so I can go play, and he's like, I don't think this is right, and he's like, redo it. And I'm like, "Oh, I want to play. I finished it all." He's like, you can play after you figure it out. And I was trying so hard not to figure it out that I got so pissed I started crying. And he's just like, you just need to redo this. Like, count it on your fingers. And I was like, but I just want to go play Lego Star Wars. I
you know,
got so
That
frustrated.
reminds me of that video of the
speaking
kid
of like
crying.
math helps, um, did your parents ever just like shout at you louder the same question, hoping that that would somehow make you understand it?
Oh
Oh
my god, I
no.
did that to Brian today,
It's
and
if
I
they're
was
like
like,
2 plus 2 and you say 5, and then they're like 2 plus 2, and then you're like 5, and they just repeatedly say it louder and louder, like it's phrased the same way, but somehow in their mind it's like, yeah, this way they'll get it.
Nah, I never had that. Every time I would ask my mom or my sister for like help on a math problem, they'd be like, "Que carajo, I don't know shit, get out of here."
I did that to Brian like 2 weeks ago. I feel so bad. I when I noticed that I was doing that, I kind of was like, you know what, Brian, go take a break. I'm out.
No, I'm extremely guilty of doing that because, like, admittedly, like some of the things my brothers will be asking me is extremely trivial to me. That the fact that they don't get it, it's like it's almost disappointing to me. But then I have to like realize, wait, Joel, they are learning this. You have mastered this already through years of hard work, and now you're just expecting them to understand it that way. So it's like, yeah, I see that, but sometimes I also get so frustrated. I repeat the question just louder, anticipating that would help, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I never got that. I never got like the whole yelling at me to figure it out. It was always like just use your fingers, or with math especially. If it wasn't simple math, they would just be like, I mean, ask your sisters and they'll help you out. But I'm glad they never like yelled at me for that. I
You
probably got
see,
beat every now and then, but
right.
I was
I think the reason I do that is because I'm the oldest, so I had to figure out a lot of things on my own. And the fact that, for example, like my brothers have way more tools than I ever did when growing up, the fact that they don't reach out to use those resources and then still be like, oh no, I don't understand it. It's kind of like, my G, you have the internet, you have teachers that are like, you can literally email nowadays. It's like growing up that wasn't a thing, so I guess that's why I get so frustrated. But yeah, I agree that that shouldn't be a way to educate your children or somebody else's children.
Well, yeah, because you getting frustrated knowing that they have other resources is different than just yelling the problem louder.
Yeah.
It's like I could imagine you like screaming a word problem. You're just repeating it word by word, but like at the top of your lungs.
Yeah,
Jimmy has
it's
five
almost
apples.
like I guess like a lot of Hispanic parents may be guilty of that. That it's just they, like I say, they repeat the same question just louder and louder, hoping that that would somehow get through their ears. When it is, it's just that they don't have the cognitive ability to actually figure it out.
I can understand
Yeah,
if
it's
it's
true.
like someone learning something brand new, like for example math to like an extremely young child. But like say if like for example if like Joel, you asked me what's 2 plus 2, I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm like, Joel, really? 2 plus 2?
Yeah, when things are that trivial, it's almost like, all right, like, come on, this is it's almost embarrassing in a way. But like when they're learning legit new things, like I remember my younger brother, he was learning algebra at the time, and he wasn't understanding slopes or intercepts. You guys remember y is equal to mx plus b?
Yeah, I remember all that.
All right, so yeah,
I
so
don't
they were
want to, but yeah.
that to me is extremely trivial, but obviously to my brother it's not. And he wasn't understanding what like slope was, even if I was like explaining it to him as like a grade, like uphill grade on a mountain or anything. But the way he got it was, I explained to him the slope is like the rate that you get it, and I explained it to him by explaining that your slope is like double XP for Call of Duty. So like if you have a slope of 2, that's equal to a slope of 2 is equal to like double XP. And that way he was able to get it. And then he was like, "Oh, I see. It's just like a multiplier." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Holy
exactly."
shit. That's a good way to explain
Yeah,
it.
so it's you definitely have to appeal to the things that they like in order for them to kind of click and be interested in it, because partially a lot of the things with the child, if it just doesn't excite them or interest them, they're going to check out.
Yeah, and me as a fat kid, as long as the math problem had food in it, I was always about it. Like, okay, I understand Snickers. Okay, let's go.
That's sick. Yeah. No, I remember those questions were like, if Mike has 7 oranges in one hand and 3 watermelons in the other, it's like, what does he have? Extremely large hands. That's what he fucking has. My God, nobody can hold that.
If Timmy has 6 oranges and he takes away 4, what's the mass of the sun?
Yeah,
7 chiquitos. That's what it is.
42. It's always 42.
Always.
You're right. You're right. I feel like as well as not only with math problems, but I also really struggled with like even English like words themselves.
Yeah.
Um, like of course like everyone knows that the English language is spelled like gnarly as hell, and like some you like I think we talked about this in an earlier podcast where some words don't sound out like the way they should be. For
Hmm.
example, the word psycho, I don't hear a p in there at all. And when I would like go ham on like writing essays, but I would completely fail them because I would misspell every single word, and it was almost
Yeah.
that was one of my biggest uh setbacks really.
Yeah, especially like me growing up, especially being the oldest to Spanish speaking parents. It's like all I had was my Spanish knowledge, and then Spanish is very direct. What you write is what you say in Spanish, so it's very easy to I guess spell things, because all you have to do is literally sound it out. There's no hidden syllables or sounds in there. It's very direct. And so when I was making that transition over to English, it was a little hard, because it's like, whoa, why is this H here and I'm not saying it? Or it's, why is this PH? Why is that an F? So you're like, what the hell is this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that always pissed me off. I mean, I can understand th, but like ph, like no, I can't do that. Even to this
Yeah.
day, like
When you guys when you guys learned Spanish, did you guys learn it hand in hand as like growing up, or was it one or the other?
no, not at all. For me, my dad and my
Well,
sister would always speak English to me, and my mom would always tell me to do the chores like sacar las basuras and whatnot, and I'll just say okay. And so that's all I understood as a kid. So it wasn't until I started working at a fast food place where it was constant Spanish speaking that I kind of got the hang of it, and then I was finally able to have conversations with my aunts and my uncles and such. So I that's kind of where I learned Spanish. Um, right now, like my niece is struggling to learn English, but that's because she watches nothing but like Spanish cartoons. My sister speaks to her in Spanish. My mom speaks to her in Spanish. So I'm the only one that's talking to her in English, I feel.
Yeah, that was me as a little kid. Like as a little kid, I knew Spanish more than English, so I actually had to learn English for the longest time. I was in English learning classes, whatever. Like
Oh,
for
like ESL?
yeah, I was in that.
Oh
I
wow.
was so jealous of those
So
kids.
up to like literally when I met all of you. So I had a little graduation. They tested every kid every year to see if like okay, did you improve? Did you get worse? Hopefully they didn't get worse, or are you excelling? And I think I moved here to the third grade. So yeah, end of second grade, I took the test and I was labeled proficient enough to be in regular classes, and then I met y'all.
Oh
Nice.
wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Diego,
but
to answer your question about if it was hand in hand, no, that was never the situation. Like I said, I was the oldest, so there was only one language that went around in my house.
Oh yeah.
It was you go. I get home, I start speaking Spanish, and then I go to school, and then it's almost like a switch. It's like as soon as I get off the bus, uh, coming back from school, it's like all right, the English is done. Now for the rest of the day, it's all Spanish. It
you
wasn't
went
until
from
my younger brother started to get older that English started to get more incorporated because my brothers have the weakest Spanish, and I guess that's kind of at fault due to me because as they started growing up, I exposed them to English, hoping that they wouldn't obviously struggle with that transition. But the problem was that they got so good at English that the problem was, all right, their Spanish is weak now. So I have full on conversations with my brothers here at my house in English. Obviously, I'll speak to them occasionally in Spanish, but it has been more hand in hand now than when I actually was growing up because just the fact that my parents were incapable of speaking English at that time.
just you wait for them to date, bro, and they're gonna date a Spanish girl, bro, and they're gonna want to learn that shit like
They're
nothing.
gonna
Yeah,
struggle, dude. Talking to
Yeah,
those parents, no mames, dude. It's over.
yeah, but I honestly think my Spanish is very. I'm well spoken. I'm not like a fucking Spanish grammar god or anything, but um
you speak it very formal. You don't speak it very slangly like I
yeah.
do or
But
others
the
do.
problem is that it's like I feel like I'm good at it, but then as soon as I'm back in like in a professional setting or anything, I find myself incorporating English into it. So I start speaking Spanglish.
Yeah,
Like I attempt to say a word in English, that an English word in Spanish, which is not it's not correct in the Spanish language. So it's like I'm just kind of making up words as I go.
That reminds
Yeah,
me of a
it's
time.
interesting.
Go ahead, you.
Well, I was only asking because I grew up with two older sisters and obviously my parents, and my parents spoke Spanish to me and my grandparents and all of my aunts and uncles. The only people speaking Spanish to me were my two older sisters. Um, so I
You mean
was just
English?
like, yeah, English, sorry.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, it's the exact same dynamic here with me. Is with my brothers, it's English, and then but as soon as we direct to our parents, it's Spanish.
yeah, except for the most part, my Spanish is better than most people that learn the languages hand in hand. That's why I
Hmm.
was asking because I know my Spanish can be rough sometimes, but for the most part, I know I can speak it well.
Well,
So it's just like
speaking
I wonder
is the
what it
easy
is
part.
about learning it hand in hand versus one over the other first.
well,
I feel like speaking is the easy part. You understand. Like if I have a conversation in front of you in Spanish, you understand every bit of it. I mean, you look like you do.
Yeah, I do.
damn, racism.
Actually, I was gonna say understanding it is easier than it is
Speaking it,
speaking it for me.
100%. I'm the
Yeah,
same way. I'm the
that-
exact same way, Diego.
yeah. I'd rather like understand Mandarin than speak it.
Probably, yeah.
No, just to kind of revert it back, when Joel was talking about the Spanglish things, I remember that one of my fondest memories is uh, I was around 7 or 8 or so, and my dad finally got me my first wallet. And my first wallet was like a Velcro wallet. It was sick. It was America colors too. It was an America themed colors soccer team, and I lost it, and I had like $3 in it, but I was freaking out because that was my ice cream money, bro. And so I had like $3 in there, and I went to my mom, and I no one ever told me the word for wallet in Spanish, and even to this day, I'm not really too sure. But
Cartera.
okay, thank you.
He's over here something like the beginning of that one Drake song. Wallet, wallet, wallet.
No, and then I went to my mom, and oh my god, I went to my mom, and I was like, "¿Dónde está mi walletero?" She lost.
Yeah,
Waletero,
exactly.
She
bro.
That
lost
Damn.
it, dude.
you
Oh,
I have even now I have that exact same problem. But the thing is, I'm not afraid to say those things because I know like eventually my parents will correct me. But I'll say a word like exactly like you said.
It sounds right.
It's an English word, but I'll put a erro at the end because I think that somehow makes it the Spanish equivalent.
That's hilarious. Hueletero.
Oh, even to
It
this
sounds
day,
like a paletero now that you're saying that.
I still say walletero because I cannot say
Wow.
cartera at all.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
waletero sounds like a man that rolls around in a bike selling wallets.
That's hey, new business
Yeah,
idea
that
right
just
there.
sounds like a seller.
Elotero, walletero,
Frijolero.
frijolero. Okay.
Can you imagine just just a guy on a bike just giving you a bowl of beans or bean burrito, bro? That's gangster,
That'd
dude.
be
I'm
sick.
down.
Some hot beans, baked
Speaking
beans.
speaking of beans, I always loved beans as a kid. Like my mom, I hated school lunch like to the death of me because I was a very picky eater. So like for the longest time, my mom would always pack my lunch from like kindergarten, first grade, um, and every day she would make me bean burritos. And
How way.
and to this day, like I'm still not over them. Like I still want them because that was the only thing I ate as a kid. Of course,
Bro, beans and queso fresco. Oh,
Ay,
broski. That's all you need in life. And then she would throw in like a can of tea in there because I didn't. I guess she didn't think I liked soda, which is a good thing she did. But I would always have tea in there, and then I would have I would have a bag of chips. I would have a bag of chips in there, and like to this day, I'm like, man, I would love that same lunch again.
for the longest time, my mom would always want to take advantage of like how I would always come home like from school, and I'd tell her she'd be like, "What'd you eat?" And I'm like, "Oh, I ate this trash ass like whatever microwave pasta whatever." And she's like, "Did the other kids like it?" And I'd be like, "No, they all like bought chips." And the minute she heard that, her like business brain would always turn on. Like, how about I make you tamales and you go sell them? And as a kid, as like
Bro,
a third, fourth grader, you're just like, you don't want to be known as a kid. I don't even know if that was like okay to do, but I was like, I'm good. But now, like as a high schooler, I probably would have done it. She never offered me
you
after
would
that.
have made bank if you sold tamales in high school, dude. You would have made bank.
I did that once on a trip.
Yeah,
oye,
Remember
esas
when
sardinas tamales de res. Ah, huevo.
se
ya
me
sabe,
acabaron, güey?
chiquillo. No, and
No,
yeah, I remember buying tamales from you, Caesar. I remember that.
yeah, she packed me lunch for we went to the zoo. She packed me lunch and she made me tamales and she put more in there. And then she was like, like I remember her telling me as I left, she was like, "Oh, by the way, I put extra in there so you could sell them." And she just kind of ran off. And I'm like, "Okay." So I remember going around and like, "Hey, so I have tamales. Do you want to buy one?"
You had like what, 6 of them?
Yeah. And Peter actually bought one for
It
me.
was good. It was your mom makes good tamales, bro. Props.
Yeah.
But no,
I
Can you
wish my
imagine if I
mom
was known
hadn't.
for that?
I was just gonna say, I wish my mom hadn't burnt me out on corn tamales. Because as a kid, that's like all we would eat every other day. Because she would buy them off some lady that was my babysitter. And man, I can't eat them now.
dude, those are my favorite. Those are my absolute favorite.
Yeah, where I'm from, they're super popular. Every time my grandmas come over, they come in with like just bags of corn tamales. And we like to toast them too a little. So it's like, yeah, those are what the tamales I grew up with too.
Dude, toast and tamales is clutch, especially like my mom would do that like Saturday or Sunday morning.
Hmm.
I would run to the kitchen for those.
Yeah, it's also cool seeing my parents. Like, they haven't been back i- where they're from, and it's always funny to kind of see them lose their shit over like food, like that comes from there. And you're like, man, you don't know what's good. This is what we ate, and I'm like, okay, yeah, fair credit.
That's like a New Yorker talking to us about pizza.
Yeah,
But have you had New York pizza?
I have not had straight from New York. I
You
have
won't
not.
ever go back. You won't go back.
Let's take a trip to New York. Show me the
Is it
business.
is it really that good?
I'm down.
I mean, I have pizza from NYPD all the time, and it's fucking good.
NYPD is sick, but I mean, I'm sure people are gonna be like, "No, that's not real NY pizza."
Yeah, that's just like a
What do you
local
mean? They
chain.
get water from NYPD? They have this
I was
sign.
about to,
They
I
have
was
this
about to
sign
say,
that says
damn.
like, "Oh, they bring their water from New York," and I don't believe that. It's like how the
No, that
logistical
can't
like
be
the
real.
logistics of it. It's like it's absurd. How are you just gonna get water that's fucking imported from like Lake Erie or something?
they
It doesn't make any
they
sense,
get the tap water from here and just have a Yankees fan bless it.
right? It's like, I'm walking here. It's like, all right, now it's fucking New York.
Yeah, I've heard that the water from New York is so good you can drink it straight from the tap.
My ass,
Well,
dude. No way.
every hold on, let's just clarify something. Every state you could drink water straight from the
No,
tap.
no. There are many
No,
states.
but have it be good, I mean.
There are many
Oh,
states where that water is flammable foam. Like, nah, dude.
Now
You
you
can't go to
in
Flint,
Michigan.
Michigan and drink it.
Go to Michigan.
No, but
I feel bad
seriously,
for laughing.
my stepdad was born and raised in New York, and he went on a trip with my mother and my little sister, and my mom and sister were like, "Yeah, we drank it straight from the sink, and it was perfect." And I'm like, "That's hard to believe, but I mean, you guys were actually there.
What water would they have
I've
compared it
actually never
to?
drinking water from the tap. Like we always had purified water, thankfully.
You ain't missing shit. It's garbage."
Uh,
I drink it all the time when I was little, and to this day, like I drink purified water, yeah. But if literally I had nothing left, it's fine.
Did you guys
yeah.
ever
No,
drink
it's so
water out the
garbage.
hose as a kid?
Oh
Oh
hell
yeah,
yeah,
of
bro!
course.
That was clutch.
You're outside washing the car, bro. You're too lazy to go inside.
No,
You
the
got
reason I would drink water from the hose is because if I went inside the house to drink water, my mom would be like, "All right, there, you can't go outside." So that was my way around it. I was like, well, you know what? I'm not going inside the house. I'm just at the yard drinking water from the hose, and I could continue playing. So that was my way around it.
Genius.
loophole.
Yeah, but dude, that water hits different. I'm not gonna
Dude,
lie.
when it's cold in the summer, that hose water is the best thing in the world. Are you kidding me?
Honestly, probably like drinking water from that is probably what allowed me to defeat the fucking coronavirus.
I know that
My
that's what brought our
my
immune
immune system
system,
is
dude.
just fucking rigid.
Sure hurts your stomach though.
Nah, dude.
Nah, nah.
You sweat that thing out,
As a
and
kid, I
you're
would drink so
done.
much. No, I know. I'm saying like after you're playing soccer, and you're like, I'm just gonna get it from the hose, and then you just keep it there like a unstoppable horn of water. It hurts
Bleh.
Yeah,
essentially.
I mean when I was a little kid, I have a lot of stories because I up until like I was around 15, I was in soccer teams. So I think I was like from 6 up to 15. I always played soccer in like in like the little leagues around here, and I hate that. I remember so many times I would drink so much water or Gatorade that like the second half of the soccer game is absolute fucking hell
Yeah, that pain is
because your
different.
rib hurts because you drink too much water.
Yeah, bro. It's almost like someone's stabbing you, bro. And you're over here running back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pinche coach, dale chinga.
I'm not gonna lie. My coach knew that, so we had one day in practice where he would make us drink a lot of water, and we would run around the park to get used to that pain.
No way.
Oh my
That's the
god.
Damn,
worst thing you could
bro.
have done.
That is something else, man.
No, what do you mean? I think that's perfect because it kind of I know this. It's like when you're in game competitively, all you can think about is the pain. And so the fact that he would train us to kind of embrace the pain and be molded by the pain, like Bane, um,
I
I think
was
that's
molded
clever
by
as hell. It's kind of like because you know that it's just in the back of your mind. It's like, yeah, it hurts, it'll go away, and you could focus in on the game. And a lot of kids would make mistakes because they're like, oh, my stomach hurts, and they would make bad moves or anything.
I was born in
I was born in the darkness.
Wolfstar.
My coach tortured me.
Made me
I
drink.
didn't
Yeah,
see the light until I was already a man.
greatest coach I've had. I'm not gonna lie, but
It was Bane himself.
he did torture us a little.
When I trained with my cousin's soccer team for like a few months, maybe not even a few months. And just to let you know how unhealthy I am, instead of having a thermos full of water, it was a thermos full of Kool-Aid. Because
I
for the life
love
of me,
I do
this,
that all
man.
the time.
for the life of me, I cannot drink water.
I do it all the time,
when
Pedro.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, good on. Well,
dude. I'll let you on a secret. Every when I go to school, I fill up my thermos with coffee every single day.
See,
That's how you do
that's
it.
normal. Because
nah.
coffee is just your,
I would
you
say
know,
What do you
like
I would
mean?
say maybe coffee's a little bit more dehydrating than Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah,
It's just
definitely.
brown water.
Is it
coffee
more than
is
brown
legit.
water,
Okay,
compa?
it's something else, man. It's something else. It's fucking gas. Okay,
It's just brown water with some seeds in
Gas.
seeds in it.
it. Some straight up petrol.
What the fuck is a gas?
Like my gas, like that's like my gas. That's what
Fuel.
I
Your
need. Like
fuel.
Oh, okay.
That's what gets
I, I
you
could
going.
I could I understand how people are like they're like I haven't had my cup of coffee or like they get addicted to it because now I wake up every day, I shit you not, and I'm like I need to feel the taste of coffee on my tongue.
Yeah,
Really?
it's exactly the same thing with me. It's like
Hmm.
I'll be sleepy, and the thing that wakes me up is not even like the caffeine. It's as soon as I take a sip of the coffee,
Bro, and you
I feel alert.
taste it.
I feel alert. And it's just that satisfaction that you give to your brain. It's like, all right, fine, here's a sip of coffee. And afterwards it's like, all right, I'm in gear. It's not even like the caffeine hasn't even processed yet, and
Yeah,
you're up.
man. It's that taste,
It's
bro.
addiction, dude. That's what it is.
Yes, I would love for like a Kickstarter like that, just because for me, I sometimes I need an energy drink to get me going in the morning, and I won't feel that energy drink till like an hour later, and then I'm like, oh, I'm awake now, cool. But for me, it's not an instant thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just do hard drugs.
She's
Just
over here
smoke
like,
smoke
Methamphetamines.
meth in the
how do
morning.
you do heroin again?
Needle
You
to the
just
arm.
inject it.
Isn't there like some sort of prep, or is that a different
Yeah,
drug? Which one's the one with the spoon, and you have to
heroin,
like over here
That's
with the
meth.
lighter?
heroin. Yeah,
I have a friend that takes a couple
heroin.
doses
Some heroin.
of
Heroin
Adderall
what?
Okay,
of Adderall, like on final weeks and everything. Like he just lives off of Adderall, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna fucking
I
die.
thought you were gonna say heroin,
What is
dude.
Adderall? Is that the one that keeps you awake and like
That's what keeps
active?
you
Mm-hmm.
focused. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
It's meant for like people with ADHD.
which
is
I
that?
honestly like knowing the dude. I think he probably does have ADHD. I'm not gonna lie.
And
But
Name
does
names right
does
now.
that work?
even
Like if you
even
take?
for people who
Oh
don't
yeah,
have ADD, they'll take it just to study for like exams or if like someone has writer's block.
which is what he does. He has his friends who get him in. So
Shit, I'm about to get some Adderall and fucking go ham at work.
It'll make the thing is it'll make you do more stuff, but it won't make that stuff quality. You know what I mean? And like
hmm
I think there was a Family Guy skit on it where
Oh,
Brian takes
yeah,
Adderall
yeah.
and he writes a story, and then George R. R. Martin's like, "Nah, that story was shit, bro."
yeah, there's this series on Netflix that I used to watch. It was called they took it off, but it's called Friends from College. And there's this that one situation where like I think they're like business partners and they have to make a pitch. So they fucking take meth, cocaine, Adderall, Xanax,
Oh
and
yeah.
everything. And it's funny because during that moment they're fucking focused as shit. They're like writing on the board and it looks all badass. They look productive. But then they crash and they wake up afterwards and it doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense afterwards. And like, dude, we're worse off now than if we hadn't even taken anything.
And that's how it be. That's how it be.
Jesus,
Also, as a
I wonder.
disclaimer, I've never done any drugs. just so they
Yeah,
get their
no, I'm
pennies in
kidding.
a bunch.
I'm kidding.
What about the heroin we
We'll never.
did last night, bro? Jeez.
So he's like, so Diego, do you want me to get rid of that needle, bro, or are we still saving it?
No, let's share it so I can get AIDS.
Shit.
Oh my god.
Sure.
Yo, you know what? Never mind. Nah, just ignore that.
Say it,
Say it. Say
What are
it.
you gonna say?
I keep
pussy.
seeing these like aid commercials. I'm watching Hulu, and I have like the ad version of Hulu, and I keep seeing HIV. I don't know if it's HIV or AIDS medication. And one of the claims they said,
One leads to another. So
yeah, right. So it doesn't really matter which one. It said that one of the claims said that if you keep taking it consistently, that there is, and they didn't say that there's a chance, but it's likely that you can't transmit the virus sexually. And I'm like, hold up,
Wait.
there's no way, there's no way you're telling people if you continuously take our drug, which I'm assuming is highly priced, consistently, eventually at one point in the future that possibly isn't true, but most likely is not true, you can not transmit the virus sexually. Like,
I feel like who
that's
In
a
other words,
heavy
we found the
claim.
cure.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'm like, so why aren't you guys advertising this as a cure? I'm like, there's a reason why.
because it ain't
Because you know
because it
it's
I
ain't.
mean,
hard.
there has been a couple people cured from it. I don't quote me, but it was either AIDS or HIV, and it's like one of them was a long time ago.
Wasn't it
Yeah, I think
One was pretty recent.
Magic Johnson or whatever the fuck?
No, he
Mm,
just takes
I'm
medication because he's
I'm not
rich.
sure,
he's
but
rich, my
it
guy.
was
Mm.
it was just like clinical trial,
I
and
Hey,
think
then
but Trump has the vaccine though, so that's good.
I think what you're talking about, Joel, is an HIV treatment using cancer, like some type of cancer, and supposedly
oh
it
wow.
killed the HIV
I
cells.
used this.
So
It's
they're
like, well,
testing it.
it's like I feel like the doctor's like, well, we have good news and bad news. You don't have AIDS,
Yeah.
but now you have cancer.
You have cancer now.
So he cured it, but you got 6 months to live.
You
So
have
Yeah,
less
it's
time
like,
than when
but
you
you
had
can have
AIDS.
sex now.
Pros and cons.
Oh no.
he said, listen, 6 months is a lot of time to fuck. Okay.
At least we solved that problem.
We can keep your bloodline alive as opposed to not being able to use your blood at all.
Jesus. I really wish we can clone ourselves. That way I could have my own assistant.
I mean,
And
we've
it would just
cloned
be you.
sheep.
Yeah, but Caesar ain't a
I
sheep.
mean, but like, yeah, I ain't shit. I'm a
He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time.
Shit.
I was about to pull up the sheep, the little goat noise.
Man.
Oh yeah, no,
I
those are
wouldn't
the
No.
clone
days during high
myself.
school.
Dude,
I
Oh
during
my
would
high
god, I
prefer.
school, that was
remember
all over the hallways.
we'd be in like assemblies and then just fucking blast that shit.
I'd be the one to scream it. I'd do it right now, but no.
Oh, I remember I think it was in Atkinson, and I remember it was a guy
Our
with
middle school for people who are listening.
his
Yeah.
yeah, and he would always make they would always make this like pig noise in any like assembly or like huge meeting or gathering of students, and they just wait for everyone to be quiet, and they just fucking like full ass, you know, pig noise, and everyone would be like, "What the fuck?
I was waiting for the
Was it a
teacher.
pig noise or was it something else?"
I remember him,
But I
I
do
remember him
remember.
doing some dumb shit like that, but I don't remember what he did exactly.
No, it was an animal noise, but like literally every chance they got, it was a group of them, and they'd all spread like they're homies, and instead of chilling together, they'd purposely like spread out, my guy. And then like suddenly, because they'd hear it from one end, so they'd all look at one end, and then it come from the other end.
That's smart. That way you don't get caught.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was high school or middle school. I want to say middle school because
I
that
Yeah,
mean,
was
that
like
sounds like
his
a middle
prime
school
time.
thing.
I rem-
That was his
Yeah,
prime.
I remember them getting in trouble all the time, dude.
Jesus Christ. Can you imagine not giving one fuck in middle school?
I remember like a similar thing happening in high school where instead of a pig noise, it would just be a moan.
I think it was
Oh,
that.
yes.
I think it was that.
I thought that was funny as hell, to be honest with you.
I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys remember any times you guys got in trouble?
Oh, buddy, my G. Okay, so
Oh, chiquito,
I
amárrate,
I
cabrón.
think
I've got a story.
I think I think the most trouble that I've gotten in was I was suspended from the school bus for 2 weeks, I believe. And hear me out. So we were at the bus stop, right? Just minding our own beeswax, and then uh, one of the girls there was like, she was like ratchet as fuck too. She was like, "Oh my god, look at this paint can, like this spray paint can," and I was like, "Oh, gnarly, some tagging." And so I tried to tag a wall, um, but nothing would come out. Right? It was just an empty bottle. So I was like, "Oh man, there was no paint in there."
So you huffed it.
I wish. So instead, what they told me to do, and keep in mind, every kid in the bus stop was telling me to do this. They're like, "Oh, put it under the wheel of the bus," and I was
No.
like,
Dude, that's awesome.
keep in mind, I in hindsight, that was the dumbest thing I could have done. But during the time, I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
it's just like crushing a can. It's fine." So I do it, and keep in mind, the ratchet girl told me to do it. Then once we all got on the bus, she pulls the can out and was like, "Hey, he put the can under the wheel." And
Oh,
the
dang.
bus driver was
what?
like, "What? Like, did you do this?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "All right."
How would you agree to it?
Well,
Well, why'd you say
I
yes
wasn't gonna
to me?
deny it. Like, I wasn't gonna BS her. I was because I don't want to shift blame to somebody else. Like, no, I absolutely did it, 100%. And so, of course, she walks. Once we get to the school, she walks me to the principal's office and says, "Hey, this kid tried to vandalize the bus." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, no." And then I give my side of the story, and I was like, "Oh, I thought nothing of it. I thought it would just be like crushing a can." And then they explained to me the science, and they're like, "No, this is pressurized air. This would have blown up the wheel." And I was like, "Okay, I doubt it would have blown up the wheel, but I get you." And
So you could
Y'all would
have
have been
killed people.
dead.
then they took at our middle school there was an on-site police officer, and they put me in her office, and the police
Oh, I was about to say like the police car. I was like, that would have been terrifying.
right, and then they put me in there, and she's just like, "So yeah, I mean, this is illegal. You basically tried to vandalize the bus." And I was like, "I didn't vandalize the bus, but whatever it is." And then they call my mom. They're like, "Hey, we need you to come pick up your son." And so I was suspended for like 3 days. And my mom came in bawling, like straight like in tears, thinking that I was gonna get arrested or like go to juvenile detention. But
Oh, I hate this type of mom. No offense,
nah,
but I hate that.
it bugs me too. And then so they did all that, and then they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're suspended off the bus for 2 weeks." And so luckily, I was able to get a ride off of my neighbors because we both went to me and his kid went to the same school, so that I could just bum off a ride with them. But regardless, it was still a pain in the ass. And even then, once I got back on the bus with the same bus driver, like I didn't even talk to her. I didn't even say, thank you for the ride or whatever the fuck. I just ignored her. And even that ratchet bitch, I was like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? You told me to
No,
do
dude,
this.
I have like a story of like the bus driver that I had who somehow just didn't like me and like would pin everything that happened on the bus on me. One time it got so absurd that there was this kid who. So you guys remember you're getting out of the bus, and but obviously there's the kids in the back that are like the most rowdy,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously they're the ones to leave last. So I sat like in the front section of like the middle of it, and so somehow on my seat someone spat on it like a straight loogie, dude.
Ew,
Just
what the fuck?
yeah, just got it all out. And obviously it was on my seat, so obviously who else is going to be the one to first look at? And so the bus driver blamed it on me that I was spitting on the
Oh,
seats.
hell no, dude.
I was like, bro, give me a vial, spit, and test it. Obviously, that didn't happen, and I got Saturday school for like that was the only time I've ever gone to Saturday school because someone spat on my seat and I got blamed for it. But the funny thing was, I also got suspended for a week off of the bus because I was expulsing bodily fluids on the bus.
Oh yeah.
But during that time, someone again was spitting on the seats and also on my seat, but I was completely suspended. So somehow the bus driver had they had he had to apologize to me because he was pinning too many things on me, and he was just kind of like out to get me. I don't know what I did to him.
But you probably just reminded him of someone that pissed him off or something. Because
Yeah,
nah, fuck all that, dude.
yeah. That's the only time I got trouble in middle school for something I didn't do.
Well,
Man, in middle school, this was a time. I I was
You have
at
a
my
big ass
first
story, my
childhood
guy.
house.
Yeah, Diego has a good
Diego has a
story.
good story.
I was at my first childhood house, and I'm waiting at the bus stop, and I
Thought he
notice
said,
he's
I have
not
my
really
first
he
child.
wasn't a friend. He was just a guy, and he's just straight up smoking, like from a pipe, with two other. I don't know if they were one grade up or if they were high schoolers. And so I'm like, whatever. I leave that be.
And
But we get to
just for
class.
context, what grade were you guys in at this time?
We're all in middle school.
I was in seventh
Yeah,
grade.
it was seventh grade, Diego.
Yeah, it was seventh grade. And so we get to school, and I'm waiting in line to get into class, as you usually do. And this same kid that was smoking comes up behind me, and he's like scared to death, like he's gonna get in trouble. And he's like, "Hey, I need to put something in your backpack." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you gonna do? Like, I don't want you putting random shit in my backpack." And he's like, "Just shut up and put it in there." Like, he kind of threatened me, and I was a little scared because in middle school I wasn't the biggest kid yet. I was actually pretty short, and so he's like, "Just keep it in there. Don't say anything. You'll be fine."
If he saw you now, dude.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just yeah, right." And so I'm like, "All right, whatever. Just do it."
Kratos himself,
And little do I know, he put in spice and a pipe in
which
my
is
backpack.
synthetic marijuana.
Yeah, it's synthetic marijuana. Really, really bad for you. And so we get into class, and I'm shooting bricks.
Eh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
And so the teacher comes in like angry and red faced, knowing that somebody has the drugs, knowing that he confessed and put them into somebody's backpack. And so he's like, if you guys know anything, just come out, step out. We'll get this sorted out. Me and another other kid that I had no clue was even a part of this step out, and I'm like, yeah, he put everything in there, and I'm already shaking and like near crying, because my mother is not the type of mother to cry. She's the type to make me cry. So I was just like, this is gonna
Oh
be
yeah.
great. Um, and but before I did that, when they were outside talking to the kid, there was another guy that came up to me, and our smartasses, we thought, hey, if I have less on me, I'll get in less trouble. So I split whatever I had in my backpack and gave it to the other kid. So now there's three people involved, and we all go out and we all go to the office, and I get in even more trouble because I gave another kid half the drugs. And I'm like, I thought it would get me in less trouble because I was a dumb kid.
Distribution charge.
Yeah, so I
Diego's
end up I end
times
up
of
getting
being a drug
suspended for like
dealer.
a week. Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
so you're
suspended for a
technically
week. The other kid got a week too. The one that I gave the stuff to, and then one other dude got like 3 days. But the original, like one that was smoking it and whatnot, he was gone for a couple
original
months.
asshole.
Yeah, he was a fucking prick.
He came to my party once. I had a party once. The same fuck, and I don't care if you listen to it. What the fuck? He came unannounced, and I don't know who invited him. I don't even know how the hell he ended up here. And he left a hat, a very fashionable hat at the time. And like
At the
2 weeks
time.
later, he literally was like, "Hey, I want my hat back." I was like, "I don't know where the fuck your hat is at." I fucking threw that fucking girly ass hat away. It had diamonds and stuff all over it.
Oh,
Real
that
nautical type of
diamond
shit.
brand is god
Yeah.
awful.
You know, it's funny because we're talking about weed now, but I wanted to. It makes me think of what we were talking at the very beginning of the podcast about, things that we believed as a kid. But I used to think that weed was just straight up grass, and people were smoking grass. Like they would like, I don't know, like go to like a fucking landscaper and just like take out the shaved grass inside the lawnmower and just be smoking that raw. And I was like, Well, I as a kid I didn't see anything bad in it because they were just smoking grass. But no, it was weed.
So just to piggyback off of that, I thought the exact same thing, Joel, 100%. However, my dad loved to smoke weed, and there would be times where he would smoke the weed in front of me while we're in the same car. So he would basically
Oh, that's not good.
hotbox my ass at, like, a very young age, and
That's why you always look high.
exactly he permanently fucked me there, dude. And so but however, I didn't think it was that much of a big deal because I didn't know it was illegal. I thought it was just like cigarettes. And it wasn't until he was like, "Hey, don't tell your mom." And I was like, "Mom knows you smoke cigarettes, though." He's like, "No, no, not with this, though." You know what I mean? And that's when I was like, what is this stuff?"
Esto no, mijo, ¿qué? Right? Esto no le digas.
Quieres un Happy Meal? Te voy a comprar un Happy Meal.
Smells like the answer to to everything. Hey, 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 no, no, ya no chilles, ya no chilles. ¿Quieres un Happy Meal? Ahorita vamos al Happy Meal.
Speaking of Happy Meals, I used to think, so Happy Meals come with milk, which is why I'm trying to piggyback off of this. Um, when I was a kid, I used to think that white milk came from the white and black spotted cows, and that chocolate milk came from the brown cows. But I remember just being like dumbfounded as to where the hell strawberry milk came from, because I've never seen a fucking pink cow. So I was like, yo, how do they make this? Where does this come from? And it wasn't until I was like around 7 that my older cousin was like, hey, do you want chocomil? And I was like, you know what? Sick, hell yeah. But I guess his parents lived to be a little bit more wealthy because they were able to afford the two types of chocolate milk for him. Well, one of them being chocolate milk and the other strawberry. It wasn't until then that I found out that it was just a fucking powder that you put into your milk
Mhm.
that makes it that flavor. And I was like, what the hell? This entire time I thought it was the cows that make chocolate milk.
That was the only one that my mom bought. My mom would always buy the strawberry one, so I always knew about the strawberry one.
Oh, no, not me. And even now, I live and die by chocolate milk. So
So to
Same.
piggyback off of that too, I I knew where milk came from. I knew where regular milk came from, straight udder. You already know. However,
Straight udder.
however,
That's a shirt.
with chocolate milk and strawberry milk, I thought those were artificial. I thought those are two completely separate things. I didn't know there was. I thought it was just like how you make Dr Pepper or whatever the fuck, you know. I thought it was just like factory made drink. Like I didn't know it was actually milk in there.
yeah, uh, there was a lot of dumb things that we probably believed in when we were little kids. I remember one being extremely absurd was when I was younger, I saw a lot of like the marriages. They're Mr. and Mrs. Smith, for example. Um, this entire time, I didn't think that the the husband passed on the name to the wife. What I thought had to happen was that someone out there, in my case, a woman out there, needed to have the same last name that I did, because that was the person I needed to marry, so that when we did get married, we were Mr. and Mrs. of my last name. So I remember all, like, for up until like 5th grade, all the girls that I liked had the same last name that I did, but that was out of that psyche that the girls that I liked, or eventually I thought I was gonna marry them, needed to have the same last name that I did.
Yo, he was really looking for the one.
Yeah.
This guy had like requirements, my guy.
No, dude, but I remember in 4th grade, the reason I stopped believing in that was because the girl that I had a crush on, bro, she said I had a unibrow. That shit broke my heart, dude.
Bro.
She's like, yeah, you have a unibrow. I don't like you. And I'm like, shit.
Joe right
For-
there was like, fuck.
yeah, I was like,
Kid.
fuck everyone.
Did
I was like, I'm gonna look for another Mrs.
did you do anything about your eyebrow? Like, were you self conscious about your eyebrow after that?
Yeah, from there on out, I asked my mom, like, obviously this went away like around high school, but I would ask her to like not do my eyebrows because I have naturally thick ass eyebrows, so
Hell yeah.
they're not a lot of maintenance. But yeah, I do have a unibrow that grows through, and I would always have my mom just pluck them out so it'd be clean in the middle.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, but then I stopped caring because fuck girls.
Yeah,
No,
who
I'm kidding.
needs them?
Fuck girls. Yeah, who needs them as like the majority of the entire group that has girlfriends.
You know, and it's like the girlfriend's gonna listen to it. She's like, oh yeah, you want to say that again?
Yeah.
Well, fuck
A
you,
ver, dilo
Alejandro.
otra vez. A ver, dilo con huevos, güey.
I love you.
All right. All right. I think we hit our 1 hour marker. So I want to go ahead and thank everyone who's listening. We appreciate everyone who's listening. As a starter podcast, I know it could be tough. So we do appreciate everyone who listens.
And as well as that, for anyone listening, if you guys have anything that you think we should talk about, anything that would make a good topic, by all means, send us a DM, and we'll try to incorporate it in.
Yep.
Constructive
Other than
criticism.
that, is there anything else anyone wants to add?
I'm good for now.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.